Hello and welcome to lesson 2. Today we're going to talk about Active Directory. So let's get started. Active Directory is really the logical representation of the entire network. And as you can see right here, let me just blow this up a little bit. So if you have the whole network, as you learned from our previous classes, when they're all interconnected with each other, the main server will have a logical representation of all the devices that are in there and how they connect and how you can control them, from users to computers to printers, different servers, you name them, all of them will be controlled within the Active Directory. It's a big database that can have a logical control in terms of security and things like that. It's an easy representation, so you can always visit the Active Directory to really set, for example, attributes to users, to printers, to application servers, DHCP servers, or whatever you want to do. All right. So what we're going to be doing in our lab in a few minutes is set up a tree. So, for example, let's say you have a company called XYZ.local, and within that XYZ, so that will be the top core layer. And then underneath it, you can create an organizational unit. So, for example, there's an engineering department within that company XYZ, and within the engineering department, there's the testing of all the different types of products that the engineering department do. So there'll be a sub-organizational unit within that engineering organizational unit itself. Now, in the testing organizational unit, you may have specific users, specific printers, specific plotters that you may want to use, and you can put users in there that they can use them, and you can go to this organizational unit, the testing one, and give them a policy, a security policy, that all the members inside will have privileges to be able to use these different products. Within the engineering, you may have another organizational unit for production, for example, or the design, the R&D. So you may have another organizational unit that you can attach. And within the XYZ local, you'll have a different organizational unit, for example, for sales, or for human resources, or things like that. All right, so all of this is called the Active Directory, and all you can have, typically what we usually do is, since there are going to be users, straight out of the XYZ company, we can have one organizational unit for users. All the users, will put them in one organizational unit, then we can make one user a member of the engineering and a member of the sales, for example. And another user will be a member of the human resources, but he also does management or things like that. So usually we put all the users in one organizational unit. Another organizational unit that is typically given by default is the computers. There's going to be computers in the network. So you can actually click on specific users and tell that user, well, here's only these computers you'll have access to, for example, and things like that. Okay, this is called a tree. It's really a logical representation and really controlling all the different hardware, software, and the users in the network. This is called a tree, as you can see, from here to here this is called the parent, then you have the child, then you have a sub-child, which is an organizational unit. If you have multiple trees, then that's what creates what we call a forest. So forest will have multiple trees for one big organizational company. Usually a tree has the DNS, for example, all of these parents and the children have all in the same domain, .local. If you are in the production outside, it would probably be .com or .edu, .org. But since you are going to be within the local area network, and you're not going outside, we'll say it's .local. And that's what we're going to be doing in our lab, and typically what you do in the networks when you're in the production outside. All right, so an Active Directory, like I said, again, let's just go over the notes real quick. The Active Directory is the logical representation of the entire network, as I said before. The forest is the collection of a whole, a bunch of trees together. Let's say one is .com, another, one tree will be the .com, and another tree will be the .org, another tree will be, it all depends on what your company is. One of them may be a .local, but all of them interconnect with each other. That creates the forest for that one big, huge company. The domain is the core administrative unit of the Active Directory services. So the domain is, for example, the .local. So this is the one domain in the tree, the area that is common to all of them, right? An organizational unit is one subunit of the XYZ company, or it could be a sub-organizational unit within one organizational unit. Okay? A site is a collection of AD objects defined by their physical location. So if you have, for example, a LAN, that could be a site within the testing. So a site where the testing lab is, that could be a site within here with all the computers and the printers and the servers. So that's could be a site. A schema, on the other hand, is defines all the attributes of the objects in an Active Directory. Attributes such as, for example, if you set a user, what his password is, how much can, what days can he log in during the week. For example, if you can access a specific files or servers or applications, those are different types of attributes that could be assigned to computers and to users as well. And finally is the partition. Partition is the logical of the actual database. It's a big, huge database that keeps all of that information on your server. One big file, actually. And just like the partition on when you partition, you logically partition your hard drive, so you can logically partition your database. Okay, the physical component of the Active Directory. There is the domain controller. The domain controller is the server, which what we're going to have, that is going to be running the Active Directory domain services. So that's what we're going to install. So once we install ADDS, right, in a few minutes, then our server becomes the domain controller. That's where the Active Directory is going to be. That's where we're going to visit and to create users and to reset passwords, for example, and create the tree and all those other things that we talked about earlier. The data store is the actual file in the domain controller that holds all the information. All the information that we put in there, from attributes, everything. The global catalog servers is the domain controllers which host the global catalog. And what that means is the global catalog means it's a partial read-only copy of all the objects in the forest. It's like the yellow pages that you can look up anything that you need. Okay, so that's everything that's inside. And there is a copy of the domain controller, but it's a read-only. So this way, in case anything, it's for only read, so you can't make any changes for, actually, I spelled this, so let me just fix that. So there's always a read-only domain controller. So it's server that has a read-only domain controller information. You can't really make any changes on it. All right, so I wanted just to highlight the points about the Active Directory. So let's go to the actual server and build an ADDS. So let's go to our server and start the server and see what we have to do to set up our Windows 2012 server as a role in the Active Directory. So hopefully you got your server installed, and it should not take too long. It's a very easy process, and once we have this set up, we can, on the next lesson, we'll be able to create users, and which is the most common tasks that an administrator would do. All right, so now that I put it up, let me go and do Control-Alt-Delete and put in my password. Here's my wonderful secret password, and we are in. Now, once you are in, you should put up directly to the server manager. You can set up your Active Directory domain services straight from the server manager if you want, or you can go right here and add roles and features, or you can go to manage. It doesn't matter. Like I showed you that on the first video, so you can add roles for it. It really don't matter. So let's just go right straight up here, and it says right here, this is the wizard, and it's going to ask you to make sure that the administrator account has a strong password. Okay, undo. Network settings. We have a static IP address on the server. We did that in the last video. And the most current security updates from Windows updates are installed. I think we did that, but probably because this is, we only have this temporarily for 180 days, we won't allow us to do the updates. I'm not sure if that was done or not. But you should, when you are in production, you should definitely do that as well. So this is really just a reminder. All right, so I'm going to click right here and say, skip this page by default. Okay. And then you want to choose the role-based feature installation. Okay, so that's definitely we want. Click on that. And this is our server. Okay, so server from the server pool or from the virtual hard disk. You definitely want to do it from the server pool. I'm going to let you know exactly what you need to submit. So here's one thing that I want you to submit before we even move on. Remember those notes right here before I even continue? All right, I want you to write down all of these notes right here. Well, you know what? Don't bother. I'll give you this. I'll put it either in Document or I'll just give it to you. Not a problem. All right, so yeah, these will take notes anyway. I'll repeat some of this in class just in case. But if you do have any questions, please let me know next time we meet on any of this stuff. All right, let's go back to the server. All right, so right now you have your server. This is, again, select the server from the server pool. Well, this is what we want to have one server. And it's the evaluation server that we installed on the last time. So just click. All right, so what do you want? We want the Active Directory domain services. So you click on that, and immediately tells you, listen, here's all the features that we can add with the ADDS. In the old 2008, you would have to go back and start picking some of these, but what Microsoft did is they figured out, you know what, let's give these as like the defaults and install them immediately, so it makes it a lot easier for you when you are installing your servers. So just click on Add Features. Okay, so once you do that, then you click on Next. And Group Management, okay, we want all of that, that's fine. Click, and now it's the Active Directory Services. Things to note, blah, blah, blah. You can read all of that, but all you have to do with the namespaces, all of that is okay. And now you want to restart the destination server automatically if required. That you want to click on that, so you want to do that immediately. So say yes and install. And while the installation is going, so I want you, while it's doing that, so this is one print screen that I want you to do, so please do a print screen and install that on your, paste it in Microsoft Word. And there's a couple of other screens that I want you to do as well. Okay? While it's installing, see, I don't know how long this is going to take. It can take a couple of minutes, 10 to 12, 15 minutes. So hopefully it doesn't take that long. What I also want you to do after you paste all the different screenshots that I asked you to do, this is the first one, I want you to write down um, the reflections, what you have learned. What do you know about AD, the Active Directory? What's the use of it? And while you're doing it yourself, what is it that you don't understand? Let's say the pitfall that you're looking out for. Okay, so write that in the reflection. I want to know um, what you have learned. Even if you want to go down through step by step and what you have done. Okay, beautiful. So now let's close this. You can actually close this while the installation is in progress, actually. So you don't even have to. We can go and do something else. And so you can close this and it's still going. So you don't even have to be bothered. So you can look at the notification and says the post-deployment configuration is still running. So that's fine. It says promote the server to the domain. So you can actually, let me see, click on that right here. You have to promote it, otherwise it won't work. So here we go. This is deployment. Add a domain controller to an existing domain. No, we don't have an existing domain. This is a brand new server. So you a brand new domain in a new forest. We haven't created anything. So you want to click on add new forest. Okay. And what's the domain name? We're going to call it, hold your cat keys and say xyz.local. Right? That's what we're going to call it. Click on next. Okay, so let's say make sure now you have to promote the server. That's ability activated. Just installing it doesn't do anything. So hopefully this the deployment will pass very quickly. Okay, good. Now in this on this page it says the forest level and the domain functional level. We have Windows 2012 R2. Now, if you have in the forest, let's say you have a forest and you have a Windows 2008 server, you want a domain functional, you may want to set that to 2008. Well, it only has 2012. You'll have here, for example, it only supports up to 2008, the forest functional level. So that means if you have you can merge a 2008 and a 2012 servers together, and they'll be able to operate. But if you only have 2012 domain controllers, then you're good to go. You don't have to change any of these. So that will be your domain name server, system server. The global catalog also is checked. The read only, it's not even grayed out. You don't even have to do that. You don't have to worry about that at all. Okay, so let's see, you click on, oops, yes, yeah, and I think we're all, let's see, excuse me, oh, I forgot, we have to put in the password, so once this is installed, that's what I forgot to do. You have to put in the password for the AD once that's once it does the options. Okay, now I gotta have to put in a password. So you have to put that password in and don't forget whatever that password is. Okay. The password is not. Okay, it doesn't meet the standard. You have to use capital letters, lowercase letters, and at least 8 characters, and use a number at the end. That makes it a little bit easier. There you go. We're good to go. So a delegation for this server cannot be created because the authoritative zone cannot be found. So why is that create? Did I do that before? see. Is that this one? What happened? Let it run. It's still running. Let's see what happens. Okay. All right. Well, we don't want the DNS options anyway, so we can skip that. It doesn't matter. We'll go through the other options. We don't need the DNS option. We'll do that later on. Net BIOS name. That's like the name of the server itself. Leave that as well. This is where the database folder is going to be, the log file, the sys volume folder. I'm all good with that, so just leave that as is and click next. Okay. Here's, we can actually view the script, by the way. Remember last week when we talked about, on the last video when we talked about the PowerShell? So if you click on script, you can actually see this is what's actually in PowerShell. You can copy this, paste it, and you can deploy it on a different server. These are the commands that are done in PowerShell. By typing these commands, you'll be able to do all of this. Okay. But we'll click on next as well. So we're all good with that. And we are pretty much done. We're almost done there. So, by the way, you can also use the ds command. Oh no, that's what we're doing in the active users. Okay, so we're doing a prerequisite check to make sure everything's good, and it's installed and promoted, and it's going to reboot. And please take a snapshot of this as well. So this is the second snapshot because we're almost towards the end. This proves that you actually have installed the server. And the very last thing is I'll tell you exactly when we get there. All right, so don't worry about these little warnings, even though they do show up. We right here it says all prerequisite checks passed successfully. Okay, so we are all good. So click on install, and you'll be all good to go. It's now you're actually doing the installation. Alright? Again, take another picture right here. Actually, ignore the last one that I just told. This is the one that I want to make sure that you have. I want a picture of this because it's going to show that the target server and the installation has begun, and everything that you have done up to here is correctly. So this is the second. This should be the second print screen that I want you to do. Okay, so just be patient. This should be done in less than a minute. There's really nothing big. Here you go. It's still in progress. We're almost there. I'm not going to pause the recording because you want to pause it, it's really up to you, but I'm just going to let it go. Fast forward it. Okay, so it says the server has successfully configured a domain controller. The computer is about to restart. Okay, it should restart now. There you go. I'm going to pause the video. Okay, now we're back. Actually, it didn't take us that long. So let's go in. And now you can see XYZ administrator. Now I'm in this domain. So I'll type in my password. So this is a domain controller now. We install the ADDS on it. Okay, so I can go to, right now I have the ADDS right there, as you can see. And it's online, beautiful. Click on the local server. That's all the stuff that we did yesterday. DNS, right? And you can click on your dashboard. So you have your new DNS showing right here. And click on File Storage Services. Beautiful. Alright, so go back to the dashboard, showing this, and just do a print screen, and that's it, you'll be good to go. So this is the last print screen that you need, so please make sure that you have those 3 print screens on one Microsoft Word, and on the bottom just give me a reflection of what you have learned, what really you did not understand as well. Okay? So until we meet on the next video, I'll talk to you later.